Call to order the Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, September 11th, 2019. The time is 6:30. Please pay respects to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the agenda. I know Jack has something.
Yeah, I would like to request that we move item F, 11F and 11G up to 11A, and everything would fall down past then.
So that's to get the sheriff guys out of here,
Yep.
so we can catch bad guys.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Moved and supported. Any other discussion? All in favor? Yes?
I'd like to make an addition.
Okay.
The MERS payment.
I thought we were going to do that later.
Would that be under the budgeting part of it?
Well, that would be for next year, wouldn't it?
Yes, so the budget is.
But we need to, we had discussed putting it on last month's agenda the month before. It didn't end up on last month's agenda. It's not in this
Will
month's
you move,
agenda.
amend your,
Yeah, but isn't that usually done with budget amendments with Deanna? This is what we have at the end of the
that's for
year.
next
This
year.
is, that's.
No, for 19 budget amendments.
Right, but voting on whether we're going to make the payment or not.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't know where we're at 19. If we say 20, I get a better
We-
idea.
We have, well, we're not going to wait until 19 ends.
We have a fund balance.
We have a fund balance.
Oh, we'll just
We have
do it early.
1.3 million.
That's true. I'll make a motion to amend the agenda with moving F and G up to 11, before 11A, and adding L1II MERS funding, so we discuss it with the general fund budget.
Okay.
As long as we talk about it.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in, yes, Curtis.
Motion has to be amended by
Yeah, I'll amend.
trustee Nichols.
Right, I'll amend it.
Thanks anyhow, Jack.
You're welcome.
Nice try.
Thanks for jumping.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'm going to ask the attorney, Mr. Rentrop, do you have any idea how long we might be in closed session so we can, 10 to 15 minutes? Okay. We're going to be going to a quick closed session, and we're going to have to ask everybody to leave here in just a second for probably 10 to 15 minutes. Would there be a motion?
I move to meet in open session, entertain a motion, take a roll call vote regarding calling a closed session with the purpose to consider disclosure contained in the township attorney written opinion letter under MCL 15.268E as attorney-client privilege. Attendance to include the Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees, Attorney Hans Rentrop, and Recording Secretary Deanna Cushing.
Support.
For the matter of BKG Oxford versus Oxford Township Tax Tribunal.
Amend the support.
Moved and supported. Roll call?
Trustee Nichols.
Yes.
Trustee Dur.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Dunn.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
And Trustee Curtis.
Yes.
Did we do
Okay,
the second one?
we're done?
No, I think we do the second one, right, Curtis?
Yeah.
I move to meet in closed session for the purpose to consider disclosure contained in the Township Attorney written opinion letter under MCL 15.268E, attorney-client privilege. Does include Charter Township of Oxford Board of Trustees, Attorney Hans Rentrop, Recording Secretary Deanna Cushing. This matter is BKG Oxford versus Oxford Township Tax Tribunal.
Support.
Roll call?
Trustee Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Dur.
Yes.
And Trustee Nichols.
Yes.
Okay, now we're in closed session.
Now we're in closed session.
Okay, everyone, you have to leave for
Oxford and from Widmer, Inc., the amount not to exceed $12,000 to perform a two-phase appraisal on parcel P 04-22-200-004.
Second.
It's moved and seconded by Payne. There's no other questions. Roll call?
Trustee Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Dur.
Yes.
And Trustee Nichols.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions? Roll call.
Treasurer Ferrari,
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Supervisor Dunn,
Yes.
Trustee Payne,
Yes.
Trustee Curtis,
Yes.
Trustee Nichols,
Yes.
and Trustee Dur.
Yes.
Public comment on items not on the agenda. Any comments on items not on the agenda?
Hi, Jenny Benson, Sassafras, it's 3270 Barber. Months ago, we talked about the amendment, the text amendment for ordinance changes in the hunt country, in the 28-acre ag zoning. And you agreed to let the PC involve, meet with us and talk about the area a little more, which we did. We still haven't had anything go back to the Planning Commission about that. I know I've talked to you about it, Mr. Dunn, a couple of times, and you've said you check into it and get back with me, and I still haven't heard anything. Wondering how, many months or years that's going to go on, because we literally have been going on, asking about it for 3 years now.
Okay.
And it still hasn't gone back to PC, and was hoping to get some sort of resolvement there, some sort of understanding about what's, when it's going to come to meeting, or,
I generally don't answer because it's comments.
okay.
Is there any one-word answer that maybe,
It's on the agenda tomorrow night.
Tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
That's part of the master plan change?
No,
No.
there's a specific item on there addressing,
Okay.
Yep.
All right, good. Thank you.
Just a point of information.
your name?
New business, I have Wilbert Hutchings, 3385 Delano. I have a comment about the Brownfield grant.
You're
Will I
going
be
to
able
be,
to speak at that
oh,
point?
of course.
Oh,
You can-
okay. Just clearing it.
Any other public comment on items? Yes, ma'am.
My name is Barbara Blahnik. I live at 3601 Barber Road. Just a quick comment about the master plan that will be presented and discussed tomorrow. It's 134 pages, and Curtis Wright was kind enough to send it out so we could read it prior to the meeting. But the peculiar thing about it is none of the changes are redlined. So it's very difficult to know what is being changed, and maybe something could be done, Mr. Curtis, before the meeting tomorrow to let the public know. And the other item is some of the maps are incorrect. The date has been taken from an old date to bring forward to a new date. To give you an example, where I live, there used to be 2 properties, one on either side of me. Since the old map, which shows those 2 properties, one on either side, contiguous, they are now 7 properties, and the map doesn't show those 7 cuts. So I don't know why, the master plan would have something that would be incorrect like that. And the map is incorrect in 3 different occasions, 3 different areas. But most importantly, how do we get a red line to know what the changes are? That's my comment.
Hopefully, someone could do something tomorrow.
Thank you.
Said hopefully. Public comment on items not on the agenda. Duh.
Good evening, Brian Cloutier, Director, Oxford Public Library. I just want to share with you, if you were unable to see the newsletter or heard on the street, the Oxford Public Library, after 5 years of being closed on Sundays, has reinstated those hours. Last Sunday was our first Sunday being open. We had probably close to 150 people that came through. We had a lot of people at our programming as well that we offered on Sunday. I also want to add that if you're unaware, we're bringing back the Gardenside Music Series on Sunday afternoon, moving it from Thursday. When we closed on Sunday, we moved it to Thursdays. It wasn't as popular as it was on Sunday. So just to note that on Sunday, September 22nd at 2 o'clock, we're having the North Oakland Concert Band Ensemble who will be performing Dixieland. So if you have not anything to do on that afternoon, we welcome you to come. I'd also like to add that this year is really a record year for the Oxford Public Library in terms of attendance and programs, circulation of items, our use of our meeting room facilities. The library is being used more than it's ever been used before. It's showing its age in some ways, and we're working on trying to resolve that, but certainly we're very happy to have those problems. So I also wanted to add that although we're not on your budget this evening, we are part of your budget. So if you had any questions about that budget when you get a chance to look at it, you feel free to call me in my office. I'll be more than happy to answer any of those. All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Any other public comment on items not on the agenda? Fire Department. Chief?
Two things. Dave Creech, Assistant Chief. Our open house was last Sunday. I want to thank everyone that had an opportunity to come out, see what we had to offer, and also thank our members for putting that together and making it happen. We couldn't do it without them. And as a point of information only, last October, Captain Jollis submitted for a FEMA grant for a replacement of our vehicle exhaust removal systems. We were notified today that that was awarded to us for $154,090.90. We'll have 30 days to accept or deny that. Our portion will be 10%.
That's awesome.
That's good deal. Anybody else, or any other fire stuff? Then we'll move on. Sharp Engineering Report. Do you have anything to report?
Sure.
Please.
Keep it sharp.
Keep it sharp.
Just a few updates for the board, since, you're the one who are allocating the monies for this. The Crossroads for Youth water main has been installed. The final, the pressure, all the testing has been approved. The final connection is going to be made next Monday, so that water main will be live down to Drainer Road. SAW grant, you guys approved a SAW grant about a year ago or so. We've been working on that. To date, we've spent about, the township has spent about $35,000 of the $350,000. That's your match. So all of the sewers and manholes that were installed before 2000, and I think it goes back 20 years. So
It was back in 1972.
1999, we just had a few more of them added. So we're doing some I'll present a final report. It's a requirement of the grant itself, probably in like February or something. The report itself is due at the end of the year. But, I mean, that's another good one, with the grant money that's involved. And just keep you up, there's a few things coming your way as far as development goes. You've obviously got the Tullamore development. We just received a preliminary site plan for Westlake, which is the subdivision right up the street here on Dunlap, which was previously approved as part of the Waterstone development. And, you got your Culvers, they're coming in tomorrow night for their final site plan. So a lot of stuff happening around here too, so. Yeah.
Questions for Jim?
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Moving on to unfinished business, approval of the job description and posting of job. This was presented a couple of months ago, and it was suggested we come back with the job description being cleaned up. We did clean it up. Is there any questions on this job?
I do have some comments on the description
Yes, go ahead.
for if it's approved. On item number 2, pull that down here. It says file all records, reports, other requirements on all grants and funding sources. That is amended. What does that mean? Do you need that in there?
We don't. Would you like it stricken?
I just wanted to make sure the wording's right.
So maybe just end it at end funding sources,
Period.
Yeah, I would think so.
period, yeah.
Okay, that'll be noted.
And then back up on one that says Oxford Cable Commission area.
Okay.
And my other question is it Economic Development Subcommittee or Economic Development Committee?
It's a subcommittee of the Planning Commission, I believe. Is that true, Jack?
Yes.
Okay, that one's good. I'll deal with the typos.
Typo.
We'll deal with that. Down in the desirable knowledge, skills, abilities, and minimum qualifications, it talks about, as an elected official, these are desirable but not required. So I think you want to strike that, because they're not an elected official.
Okay. Noted. I'm glad keeping you around.
That's pretty much my comments.
You know, this township isn't like it was 20 years ago, where everything was handwritten, hand done. I don't know if it's good or bad that we're now in an age where people want their news now, immediately. They want to be kept up to date. So I think it's important that this township move forward to get out information not only to the residents, but anyone that needs it. So I'm going to make a motion to adopt the communications and grant manager job description,
You hand this to him.
authorize,
He's got it.
what am I doing?
The motion is all on top there. Oh, you've got it.
I got it right here.
Oh, okay. Here,
It's a different one.
there.
This is a different one?
If you want it, it's your motion.
It's my motion? I'm going to do this one.
Okay.
I'm going to start it all over again. Adopt the communication and grant manager job description. Authorize the supervisor to advertise for immediate fill and add to the budget under Department 175 Supervisor. And approve Supervisor Dunn, Trustee Curtis, Trustee Payne. Thank you for volunteering, Trustee Payne. As the interview group and fill the position at grade 4, step 9 with benefits.
Support?
Moved in support. Roll call.
Trustee Nichols.
Yes.
Trustee Dur.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, no. Treasurer Ferrari.
No.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
And Trustee Curtis.
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries.
Moving on. On to the new business. Is this where we moved everything around?
Yes.
That's where you start.
What's the first, I didn't write it down. What's the first one?
Sheriff's rent.
Sheriff's Department rental.
We don't, okay. Is there any questions on the rental?
Maybe we should look at increasing. That's been 18,000 for a little while now.
No, it was 18,000 one year,
30,000.
30,000 the next year, and 18,000 last year. So I think it
So
should,
just go back to 30?
No.
no. It should, I won't vote for that.
I think 18's not enough.
And
Why?
what have you got the basis on?
What other rents are getting in the area?
What are other rents getting in there?
Why are we in the business of making money on our,
Because we have to look at who
Police
pays for police.
the
Township
same
residents
people that are paying for this building?
Wait a minute. That's,
do. Different people. Village residents don't pay for police. And they're paying twice. If general fund's supplementing them, village people are paying for their police and ours.
we don't use that money for police, the general fund money.
But he's talking about
Well, for the
for the rental.
administration.
For
and
the
rent.
rental of the property.
So that's not covering its.
I think we owe, no, because we charged them 30,000 that one year, when the whole basis of building that area downstairs for them was so that we would no longer have $35,000 a year rent. That was the whole premise of building that space downstairs, so that we could save money on rent,
Oh, and I don't disagree with that, but I think
and so they'd have a jail. But,
it should be a higher figure than 18.
Does anybody agree
but
with?
we charged 30,000 the one year.
Jack, then we'll go down this way.
What's the rent in the Treasury's Department?
Nothing.
What's the rent in the Building Department?
You can't do
Oh,
it.
we do pay rent.
Oh, we do. Why don't we pay the same rent?
It's not
My
the same
question is, you know, we're taking taxpayer money and subsidizing the building again? Or are we having police right underneath us and a spot for them to control our township, patrol our township? Now, we're gonna go out and say we're gonna charge them $30,000 rent. Everybody's gonna pay that rent again, above and beyond the millage?
Does anybody agree with Joe? I don't hear anybody. Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Yes.
We need to put a figure, and I'm in favor of leaving it where it's at. Looking at a breakdown, with the expenses from the past couple of years, you're running about, for their percentage of the building, about $1,100 a month. So when you charge them $1,500 a month, that's about $3,500 in money-wise, but what's the goodwill worth that you can't measure in dollars, what they do for us? So I'll make a motion that the police contracting fund will reimburse the general fund on or after January 1, 2020, $18,000 for its 2020 building rental fees.
Support.
Been moved and supported. Let's do a roll call.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Curtis.
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Dur.
Yes.
Trustee Nichols.
Yes.
And Treasurer Ferrari.
No.
What's the next one?
It is the
Hiring
hiring
Adding
of
the
the officers.
officers.
Okay, guys, let's make it quick. Chop, chop. Pretty cut and dry.
I'm Sergeant Frank Lenz, representative of the Sheriff's Office for the Oxford Township Substation. With me is Lieutenant Scott Patterson. He's substation commander. We pushed to get a millage pass in an effort to add additional officers to our substation that operates out of downstairs that you're just speaking of. There is a definite need based on calls for service and availability of officers and the growth of the community to add at least one more officer to the afternoon shift. And as I've mentioned publicly in the past, and not in meetings, I have one detective downstairs, which we've ran one detective since we took over back in 99,
2000?
2000, which is just not enough based on our population. At all good guesstimates, we're at about 21,000 residents now, which is way above what we started off at. My detective investigates approximately 150 cases a year, and a lot of them, like a CSC or a rape, takes about 40 hours worth of labor just to investigate that. And he's overworked. He's got stacks of cases on his desk, so I'm looking to add a patrol investigator to assist him, giving us 2 bodies there in a DV during day shift, and also create an opportunity for them to be more proactive and get out on the street and do surveillance and investigate our regular criminals that seem to be repeat people all the time. And add an afternoon shift going to a minimum staffing of 3. Right now, our minimum staffing on afternoons is 2 deputies. And even on a slow day, if they get one serious call, a PI accident or a domestic, that ties up both officers and leaves no one available to run and handle all the other calls. It's not that those calls are happening on a regular basis, but it only takes one call to take all my vehicles out of service. So I want to up that to a minimum of 3 an afternoon shift. And based on the numbers I've seen from Deanna, with the millage being passed, the fund should be available. I'm not an expert or the money guy. Joe can look over the numbers. But I
The
believe
numbers they're favorable to hire the 2. We will still have fund balance at the end of the 5 years
yes, sir. That's
of
my
the
understanding.
current millage.
Yes, sir.
We ran it out 5 years.
Yep.
If
I'm
something
available.
happens after year 3, though, we always change it, right?
Can always change it tomorrow.
Yes. Ideally, when we first started the millage, I was looking to add a second school liaison officer, but I've been in talks with Mr. Throne and seeking them to pay for a large chunk of that second school liaison officer. The first one's been very, very, very successful in all the schools, but he's overworked. I got one school liaison officer that's handling more schools than any other school liaison officer in the county. He's got more students in schools than any other liaison officer. And he's spread kind of thin at the high school, handling the investigations there and dealing with the more adult students. And I'd like to get a second one in the middle school and to handle more of the elementary schools.
And basically, I think the schools are for that, but since they don't have any budget coming out of Lansing, that budget would tell them how much they're going to get per pupil, so they can't really make any decision on whether they can afford.
Yeah, Mr. Throne advised me, he doesn't have the budget yet, like you said. But that's something to consider down the road, and I want to inform everybody now, it's something that we've been thinking about and speaking with Mr. Throne about.
And the budget will handle that officer through the 5-year millage.
Yes, and it depends on how much Mr. Throne can contribute to that officer. That's up for
We'll
negotiation.
squeeze it.
Thanks, sir. But today I'm asking for the afternoon shift patrol deputy and a second patrol
So
investigator.
what's going to happen is we're going to decide to possibly add the 2 deputies. What we have to do is send in the resolution or the, whatever we're going to vote on to downtown. It will go to the Board of Commissioners, and they will say yay or nay, and once that happens, we can hire the 2 new deputies.
I move to amend the Oakland County Sheriff's Office 2019 through 2021 Law Enforcement Services Agreement with the Charter Township of Oxford Agreement to add 1 patrol investigator no-fill officer and to add 1 deputy 2 no-fill officer to the agreement to be effective upon approval by the Oakland County Board of Commissioners. The cost of adding the 2 officers will be expensed to Police Contracting Account 205-302-711.001 OCSD contract.
Second.
Seconded by Ferrari. You're a little slow. Let's do roll call.
Never been accused of
Trustee
that
Curtis.
before.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Trustee Dur.
Yes.
Trustee Nichols.
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Frank, I think it's a very good idea to have a second patrol guy in the schools, too. I think it's a very good idea.
Lieutenant Patterson, I've never heard you so quiet. It's refreshing.
He didn't tell me I was talking.
He did a fantastic job. He always does. He spearheaded this millage, and I can't thank him anymore. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Stay safe.
Brownfield.
Okay, on to the Brownfield grant. This was brought to our attention. It was recommended by the state back, I believe, at the late August. And I have not, or anybody from the township hasn't really had any talk with the state on this. They have,
Did last week.
did you? Would you like to give your?
I talked to Dan Gow, because usually when you talk about brownfields, there's some type of a payback mechanism where these people get made back whole. Dan says this type of a brownfield is complete free. At least to us, it's free. Of course, it's not free. Somebody's paying for it.
We're
But
paying
it's
for
free
it.
to us in terms of the township. I said, Dan, is there anything that we're going to have to pay back or anything? He's like, nope, it's free. We just want the property cleaned up. There's no matching and no anything. It's a different pot of money.
I
said,
did,
there's going to be no coming back after us 10 years from now? He said, not at all.
I ran this by our attorney. He gave me a quick 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and he said this is a good deal. There's no hidden costs, so.
And it cleans up the property.
Any other questions on this from the board?
No cost to the township.
Correct.
Right.
And we did not initiate anything. It was initiated, I'm sure, by the property owners. They went to the state, and the state came to us. They can't handle the grant. It has to be handled by the local municipality. So,
Thank you.
Just in the proposed motion, it says we must adopt a resolution. Is the resolution just the motion?
I would imagine that the resolution is the motion. Then we're going to go out to the public, because come on up. Did you have your hand up? Okay, come on up. I didn't want to assume.
Kelly Rosner, 3100 Delano. If this was a proposal to clean up the area to permit single-family residential development, agricultural use, or farmland, I would be totally for it. But this actually does have a cost. I want to make sure you understand that. It does clearly have a cost, and I'm going to quickly go over that. There seems to be a great deal of confusion as to why this proposal is being presented to you, and I really want to go over what the actual reason is. The property is currently being used. It is currently on the tax rolls. The purpose of a brownfield grant is to take a property that is not on the tax rolls and convert it into a usable entity. This does the complete opposite. It takes the property off the tax rolls and could most likely put it into a tax-free status, which then the citizens of this community would then have to support. So we'd lose the tax base. It was $20,000 a year. It is actually more, conceivably, now that those properties are split up. So if it was developed for single-family use, which it could be without this brownfield, the tax income to the community would be much higher and the overall density would be much lower. this is not a reuse of the property, it really is a development of the property, and it's development in a way that moves it away from the zoning and away from the master plan. It's to develop into a compound of institutionally owned facilities. They're not owner-occupied homes. This is owned by an institution where they want to put in institutionalized foster children. Okay, so these aren't homes that are going in. It's a different type of a use, and I want to make sure you understand all the implications of that. There is a potential for very unexpected consequences of this. For example, law changes. Right now, they're allowed to put 6 of these children into a non-owner occupied home, okay? That's what's allowed now without having to go through site plan and planning commission and all that. If they want to put in more than 6, it becomes an institutional use that has to go through site plan and zoning. They have a petition in Lansing right now to change that and change the law to allow 10 children in an institutionally owned building, and then not just one, multiple along it. So you're really creating an institution. That's an unintended consequence that could happen. You have to foresee this into the future. And when you're looking to do this type of thing, you're agreeing to this type of use, and you have to really project forward onto what the overall consequence could be for this. I am all for development for single-family homes, for farmsteads, and for agriculture. That's what belongs in there. So what I've done here is went through the grant application very quickly. These are just the pertinent pages. And so I apologize for not having a color printer. The brown area are what should be highlighted. This should be emailed to you. I did email it to Clerk Wright.
Is that this page here?
Pardon?
What page is that?
These are the pertinent pages
Okay.
out of the 25-page packet that I have, okay? So this page here has highlighted areas, and it says basically that it's to revitalize and return them to the tax rolls. This does not do that. This would actually remove it from the tax rolls. It is to limit sprawl and reuse properties with existing infrastructure. This actually would do the opposite. It would contribute to sprawl. This adds density. In their application, they said they're going to have 60 workers. 60 workers out in the middle of the country. That's sprawl on a dirt road. That's using infrastructure improperly. And yes, that causes a cost to this community, in my opinion, that the roads are now going to degenerate more and have to be maintained. And we all have to pay for that because we have no tax base coming in from that entity to support it. The economic benefit from this will not exceed the grant. We're actually losing out. So we spend $1 million of precious resources from our state to revitalize these properties. There's only so much to go around, and we're using it where the economic benefit really isn't a gain for us. I don't see the plus. And you can see from my box, I kind of go over that. It's going to require additional infrastructure. We will have to pay for that. The current zoning and master plan, I'm on the second page, calls for low-density agriculture, equestrian, single-family use, an operation with multiple institutional facilities and 60 workers. Coming and going is contrary to the zoning and the master plan. Are these full-time positions or part-time positions? That really is significant. What kind of jobs is this bringing in? And, this entity could go anywhere in this township where these type of institutional facilities are allowed and wouldn't need this grant. There really isn't an overwhelming need for it. I go through here on the project summary on the bottom. They keep saying future homes and family households. Again, let's be accurate. This is your petition. This gets submitted as though you wrote it, so I think accuracy is really important. You don't want to misrepresent what this is. These aren't foster homes. It's a completely different license. These are child-caring institutions, completely different license. So I think you need to be accurate with the application and put in there what it actually is and what it's seeking. Onto the next page there. It says the present owner purchased the property without awareness of the extent of the contamination. I don't find that to be a true statement. Again, this is a statement from you. I do believe that the past owner of the property has spoke at DEQ and other things, and I do believe he is prepared to speak for himself, that he did provide the environmental report on that property to the buyers of the property. They were fully aware of the level of contamination on this property. So as a township submitting this, I think it's important you step back and make sure it's accurate. This project is being characterized as a foster home, when again, it's a child-caring institution. And I'm going down, back there on the property or on this application. And in the environmental outcomes, if you go to the rear, which I'll go through later, It asked for a lot more detailed information in this grant application. It's not in here. I think you really need to look at what needs to be presented to have a complete application on this if it's going to be successful. On to the next page here. About the middle of the page for community outcomes and local commitment. It says HOP is moving forward with the project with the full support of Oxford Township. The township has voiced support on this. And also, if you look under local commitment, the last line says the applicant, that's you, is willing to accept a loan for the response activities. Is that accurate? Because
We have to.
You were pretty much a fiduciary in it all.
so the cost, that's what I'm asking. Maybe you could understand, explain what that means if you're accepting a loan. Is that something we have to pay back? Is there a cost to us?
And we're just passed through.
Yeah, it's just a lot of people asked on that. And where are the minutes where the township has fully supported this? Because I haven't been at a meeting where that's been voted on.
I don't know where that came from.
It's in the application. So at some point, if you do vote and support it, then it would be accurate. So I'm just saying, let's make sure it's accurate because you're the one submitting this. On to the next page, the eligible uses of the grants and loans, they can only be used for eligible things. Again, is to convert unusable property to usable. That doesn't apply in this situation here. The application doesn't really specify who the property owner's name is. That really needs to be put on there when it was acquired. And then one big section on the page here, this is the environmental outcomes. This is something that's supposed to be filled out and provided. It's not. And so some of that information is actually very important and would be and necessary. Is the property known to be contaminated? Obviously, yes, that needs to be clearly spelled out. And it says here, is the property currently being used? Yes, it is. That needs to be specified. When did they begin using it? And who else is using it? That needs to be specified because it's being used for multiple uses right now, as I understand it. In terms of contributing to the contamination, those factors need to be evaluated. That's why it asks that. When that property owner bought that property, they split it. In splitting the property, in my opinion, they created a self-created situation where now the lead averaging is higher on certain parcels. If it was a single parcel as they bought it, and mind you, it was cheaper because of the lead contamination. It was fully disclosed to every buyer. It wouldn't have needed all of this if it was one parcel. They split it. And because of the result, they bought it cheaper, they split it, and now they want money to clean it up to add intensity to the area. That's the problem we have. Into the economic outcomes, again, that circled area is information that really should be provided. And it asks how many permanent jobs are created, full-time and part-time. What is 60 jobs? Are we talking 60 jobs at 2 hours a day or 60 full-time jobs? To have that information is really important to know the economic, impact it would have on the area. And again, they could do this anywhere in the township without having this grant here. And describe the redevelopment or potential for redevelopment and how it will, increase these jobs and what opportunities it provides for the area. The application is very negligent on that. It really doesn't describe what kind of jobs it's going to give us. Community outcomes on the next page there. This is very important. And it says here, is existing infrastructure used? Well, it's dirt roads. They're poorly maintained dirt roads. They're closed for many times, with the weather, with ice, with snow. So how is this going to affect our current infrastructure? What is the property zoning current? And what is it projected? We need to be really clear what's going in. Foster homes, that's great. That's owner-occupied homes where they care for children. If we need to clean it up to have that, that's fantastic. That needs to be specified. If we're cleaning it up to create foster care institutions, I don't believe that that's allowed in our ordinance. So we really need to understand the difference and know which way we're working towards. It asks for a 5-year projection on when this is going to be done. And I say that because these type of facilities tend to come and go. They were located in Detroit. They took grant money from what I read and, fixed the whole place up. And they weren't there very long. And then they moved on. So what guarantee do we have after all this is done and what's going to be left? And if they leave, what's going to happen? I'll let someone else speak to the size of the facilities there. But what's going to happen after that? We're left with what's left. As for the attachments here, they also you guys need to detail how this complies, and that's on the last page, with our local zoning and our planning. And one of my neighbors will speak to the planning point, but one of the things that's really important in this grant is, and it almost looks like it wasn't in here, it requires the township, it looks like I missed a page, it requires the township to fully describe the impact to the immediate neighborhood, the immediate neighbors. So you're required to look at this and see if it's a conflicting use and how it impacts with the zoning to the immediate neighbors. Well, the immediate neighbors are here today to speak about that. And it is in that packet. If you look at the original 25 pages, it's towards the back. And that is something that has to be addressed. And it says specifically, the immediate neighborhood, is it compatible? Is it something that should be done? And that's a decision that you have to make before you recommend something like this. I'm saying go in with your eyes open, make sure you understand what this is doing and the long-term implications of it. If you want it cleaned up for residential use, that's what you should be saying, but it doesn't need to be cleaned up for residential use. It needs to be cleaned up for commercial institutional use. And we don't believe it belongs there, and we don't believe this is a good resource or use of resources to do this. Are there any questions?
Yes, sir.
Good evening. Jim Eunice, 3575 Gardner Road, Oxford. I got an item that I picked out of the Brownfield report. It said there's going to be another house built there. What parcel will that house be built on?
I don't believe we have anything. I don't have anything on a new house. I don't. Deanna, do we have anything coming in on a new house?
Nope. And we don't have an application either on here.
No, we don't have anything here. We don't know what's going on.
The report says it'll be another house. How can you go through the report and okay it if you don't know where it's going to be on parcel
Well, we didn't do this report.
2, 3? Pardon?
We didn't put this report together.
I know, somebody did, so who's here that can answer?
Apparently no one.
I don't know where.
Hey,
Second house.
Mr. Eunice?
Where's it supposed to go?
Mr. Eunice. Mr. Eunice, talk to me. Turn
Okay,
this way.
I'm talking to you to ask him. He's here, he knows.
Maybe we will.
Pardon?
Maybe we will. He might not want to talk. I'm not going to make him.
Okay, so it's another one of these with Hop, can't answer the questions, so I'm going to move on here. I want to talk about this maintenance of outlying rural and agriculture areas in the master plan. Equestrian living and productive agriculture farmland are long-lived in the charter township of Oxford, particularly in association with the historic Metamora hunt. Rural uses of this nature continue to thrive in the township's northeastern and, to a somewhat lesser degree, northwestern quadrants. Because of the important contribution made by the equestrian agriculture lifestyle to the overall character of the township, it is imperative to protect these areas from the encroachment of incompatible development. That's why I'm asking. Based on that report, it says a second house. It says a second house, so why can't we be told where it's going to be on one of these cleanup?
Because we don't have the information on a new house.
The owner has it.
And that's fine.
Pardon?
Okay.
Yeah, so why can't we get it tonight? We're here to understand the brownfield.
I'm not going to order someone to come up here.
Okay, Bill.
If he
For
wants
these
to come up,
reasons,
that's fine.
pardon?
If he wants to come up, that's fine. Mr. Eunice.
Wanna
Mr.
come up
Eunice.
and tell us?
Mr. Eunice, I'm not going to tell you again. Please face this way. Don't talk out there, please.
Okay.
I'm asking you.
Okay, for these reasons, the outlying areas of the township are planned for low-density residential and agricultural land uses. This brownfield operation, by adding another building on that property, doesn't meet this. No way or shape or form. The master plan also calls for additional land use preservation techniques such as deep setbacks, clustering, and preservation preservation of productive farmland and scenic features. It doesn't match. It doesn't, Bill. You know that, and everybody up here on the board knows that.
Please don't say I know that. You don't know what I know.
That could
You're making a lot of assumptions here. This is the first brownfield I've ever dealt with. I had to
Okay.
call the attorney to see if this was all right to do. So, I mean, this is all brand new to me. I'm just a simple supervisor.
So am I. I'm a simple taxpayer, and I'd like to know what's going in next door.
Okay.
Well, my question is, which one of these parcels that are left, 1, 3, 4, is the second house going on?
The township does not know.
Okay, thank you.
Jenny Benson, Sazras, or 3270 Barber. You know, I'm torn about this thing because I would like it cleaned up. But so much of this is wrong. If any of us asked for a grant like this on our properties, first you'd look at me like I had just landed from Mars, and the next thing you'd do is laugh me off your chair. They're asking for the state now, besides the, huge amounts of money that they get paid to take care of just a few kids. They're asking for $1 million to clean up their property and make their property nicer. It says that it's for parcels that aren't in use. Parcel number 1, they live on. They've moved in knowing that there's all this pollution on the property. People that had been interested in the property before them backed out of the deal when they found out, when it was disclosed to them how polluted this property was. And they're trying to say that they didn't know about this. And now they want us to clean it up, to make their property more valuable and nicer for them. I have a real problem with that. They're talking about having 60 employees up there. You deal every day with people freaking out because somebody parked a work truck 2 doors down from them. Imagine another 60 people driving up and down your road. This is a road where 9 people formerly lived in all the houses on our 1 mile block. Now you're adding 60 employees to this? Besides the 2 years worth of gravel trucks that have been running up and down that road, I can no longer ride my horse on our street. It's not safe. These trucks go blasting past at 45 miles an hour. It's not safe to do that. This is horse country. The whole master plan says it's a gem. Preserve horse country. Do everything you can to preserve low density and low traffic and farmland and farm uses. And none of what's proposed on this property does that. I agree 100% that this says it's to add to the tax roll of our community, and this is doing the absolute opposite. It's taking a usable, taxable piece of property and turning it into this monstrous business right up here in our quiet neighborhood. The traffic is unbelievable now. I can only imagine what it's going to be if this thing is fully developed and they have everything they want up there. I don't know why they would move to the quiet country to bring the city here. It's shocking. It's unbelievable that the town is agreeing with this and is going out of their way to support them and just basically crapping on the people that have lived there for 30, 40, 50, 70 years. None of us want it in the neighborhood. Yet this, they say that everyone is interested in supporting them and everyone agrees with them being here. And this is what you're doing to us. It's wrong. Encouraging this is wrong. Thank you.
Next. Come on up, Larry.
Larry Rosner. I live at 1830 Cobblestone Lane, Oxford, Michigan. And one thing that's certain, there's no more land in this township. You can't make any, none of us can make any. And what you're doing is taking taxable land and make it non-taxable. So consequently, plus it needs a lot of support, and we have to support it. So what this is doing is, by doing that, you're increasing the taxes on every person that's paying taxes in this township by taking and doing what's been going on. And I was involved, early on when this thing was started, and I didn't keep record, because at one point in time, this is going to be taxable. Well, I'm not so naive that I believe that, but it's all non-taxable. We're taking taxable land in this county, and there's no more of it, and making it non-taxable. So the rest of us can take and dig in our pocket and pay some more taxes to support it, while some people are living pretty well on the hog. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Guys, right now, HOP is still paying taxes. Whether that'll change in the future, I don't know that. But as of right now, they're still a taxable entity, and all properties over there are being taxed.
Yes.
Wilbert Hutchings, 3385 Delano. For about 3 years since this property was purchased, we, as a community, I think, have been anxious to have Oxford actually address the lead issue. We were constantly told that Oxford Township had nothing to do and it wasn't their concern. We had a meeting actually in your office where I gave you a copy of the environmental study that they were given, and years before, it was done in 2004, other prospective purchasers had. It was a nightmare. Many people passed on it. Oxford, my point is that Oxford has for 3 years not done anything about the lead issue, and there are people living there. There are children there. It's a very sad situation. Deanna Cushing helped to break the properties up into smaller residential pieces. So now it's a residential agricultural piece. There's 5 or 6 of them. So it's a private enterprise times 5. But yet now Oxford Township is going to authorize $1 million to be given to private citizens who knew that there was a liability on this property, and they're going to get $1 million to resolve it. If that $1 million had been there 4 years ago, there would have been a lot more people interested in probably keeping that property as a single piece and using it more as an agricultural piece. I guess I'm just not really I'm in favor of getting rid of lead and wish you people would have done something to step up to it and make them do it. But to give government money, $1 million, to private individuals who are living on this property, I think it's just a shame. And if you do agree to this, shame on you. Thank you.
Anybody else? Brian?
Good evening. I can't speak to what the residents here are speaking to because I don't live in that community. I haven't seen this brownfield application. I have no idea what it's referring to. That being said, in my line of work, I know a lot about brownfields. And I would like to know that typically they do carry a tax implication, and I would like to know what, if any, tax implication that is. As a taxing authority in this community, I would like to know what that tax implication may be.
Right now, I'd call Dan Gow, and I was probably on the phone with him for a good hour, asking the same things. Drill them up one side and down the other. What does it mean? Is there going to be anything doing with that property? Says, nothing changes. I said, so pretty much this $1 million is manna from heaven?
I want that
said,
in writing.
Nothing coming back?
It is in writing.
Absolutely.
Put it in
Because
a-
I
said the
spend,
same thing, Brian.
I
Trust
sit
me.
on committees at the statewide level with state lobbyists and deal with this every day. So I do know a lot about brownfields
So do I.
and TIF districts. So I would like to know what the tax implication is, and I want to be assured that there is no implication on this community as a result of that.
Yeah, it's the same thing, because I know the same stuff that you do about brownfields. But I guess there's a different pot of money that does what this property is looking at doing. That doesn't involve any tax captures, any repayment plans, anything like that. This is a different pot of money.
Okay, I want to see that.
Yeah, he sent us all
And
the
as
information.
director of a department, I think I should be able to see that. Before you make a decision, I want to see
Anybody
that.
can see it.
All right, I'm just saying, I want to see it.
Can you email it to me?
Probably could.
I'll have Joe email it to you.
Yeah, but I'll email you the packet and everything that we got.
All right, thank you.
Any other
Myself a note.
comments? Yes. Give Brian a copy if you can.
Hi. I've already spoken once, but I'll give my name again. It's Barbara Blahnik. I live at 3601 Barber Road. The way I understand this package on the Brownfield grant, the township is going to be the applicant. And if that is the case, we've been given a package where the application is blank. And I'm a little confused as to why are we given a blank package? Because there are some very specific questions that need to be filled in.
I'm sorry for the interruption. So we can go home.
So that's my first question. Why is the application blank if we're here tonight to talk about the application? Because there are some very specific questions in there that I personally am affected by. Let me give you page 4. Do you all have page 4? Callie passed it out. So that's a very sensitive page. And should I wait till you open it up? Community outcomes? Okay? Got it? There are two incredibly important points there. The first one is describe how the proposed development fits into the community's development plans and how it will affect the community and the area immediately surrounding the project site. That's me. That's me. I'm a contiguous landowner. So I would like to hear from you, and if you're not prepared tonight to tell me, then we have to reconvene so that you can put in writing how I'm going to be affected by these monstrous 9,000 square foot buildings with no garage and one bathroom, and with 60 people 24/7 zipping up and down the road. Right now, I have presented this before. Barber Road between Oakwood and Davison Lake has only 5 homes. A total of 10 individuals live in those 5 homes. That's excluding the House of Providence property. We are now talking about 60 people. I don't know if that's daily or what it is, but clearly it's 24/7, zipping up and down the road where only 10 people live in 5 houses. So I'll be interested in your feedback when you're prepared and when you're ready, because again, you're the applicant. How am I going to be affected? Okay, I'm very, very concerned. I would like to hear from you because that's part of the application. Item 2, describe the neighborhood around the property and how the development will enhance, not degrade and change forever, the peace and the solitude, but how will it enhance the neighborhood? I think I've given you some idea that it is not enhancing the neighborhood, but the requirement on the application is it should enhance the neighborhood. So that's a second question that you will have to fill out and let us know. Fair question. The grant states that there are 2 fundamental purposes in the grant. It is 1, to create jobs. Why do I need in my neighborhood with 5 homes and 10 people to create jobs on my road? What is the benefit to have more jobs on my road? I, will look forward to your answer.
You have a business in the neighborhood. How does that make us happy?
Well, they're going to tell us, because that's part of the application, and you are the applicant. Okay? So I'd like to know why I need 60 jobs on my road. That isn't why the 5 families are living there, to have 60 new jobs. And also, the second critical point at the beginning of the Brownfield grant, the purpose, second purpose, of course you know this, so I'm repeating things you already know, and I apologize.
No, we don't.
But it increases the nearby property values. How can this monstrous development, this institution, with people screaming and yelling and having parties and busloads of kids coming in and workers coming in, hooting and hollering, how is that going to increase my property value? I will await your answer on that too, okay? So those are just a couple of the highlights I wanted to bring out, but again, I await your application answers. Thank you.
Jason, would you be willing to answer a couple questions? Are there buses of kids hooting and hollering coming on your property?
No, we had,
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Go up, Jason.
We're not gonna... State your name.
Jason Dunn, 3921 Barber Road. No, we don't have buses of kids hooping and hollering. We did have a bus load come and help and did some landscaping and stuff around the property. So once we did, yes.
So it's not a regular occurrence, we're having parties there every day?
We've never had a party there, except for our grand opening. We did celebrate because it was one beautiful day that we finally got to get through all the chaos we've been through. So absolutely.
Okay. Well, that's all I have.
So, thanks.
That is not correct, and I have dated the names of the buses and the children.
For a while, it was every other weekend.
We're gonna raise our hands.
Every weekend.
We're gonna raise our hands. If you're gonna be heard. You're the same with you. You're gonna raise, everybody's gonna raise their hands. We're gonna keep orderly here. Please raise your hand if you'd like to speak, and I will call on you. Come on up.
Hi. My name is Margaret Culver, 3385 Delano Road. And as to the party
Please
that
talk to
you
me.
had, as to the party that he had, we could hear it on Delano Road, okay? So there is some hooting and hollering going on. I just want to sort of make sure that you understand the total cost of this institution or whatever it is to the community. You know, not only are we going to be paying for road enhancements, more police coverage, more fire coverage, the schools, and I was a special education teacher, the schools, we're going to be paying for a lot of service to the students in this area, and make sure that, you know, when we're talking about handicapped, especially handicapped kids, people who are not fosterable in normal foster care situations, we will be paying, the state can be paying reimbursement up to the age of 26. So we're not talking about a bunch of little kids running around. You know, we're talking about possibly having several handicapped adults. And that's fine. You know, that's what their license has said. Now, I understand that their license is a very high-level license called, what is it? A mental health and behavior stabilization license. I understand that's what they were granted. I don't know if that's not true. Maybe somebody can correct me. But I understand under that license, the types of individuals are youths that can be severely aggressive in behavior towards self or others, psychotic symptoms, that they have frequent or severe emotional episodes, that there's noncompliance with medication or stabilization on medication, and that there is a lack of intact thought process. Those are just some of the things that we could be dealing with in our community. Now, in our schools, that means we're going to have social workers involved, we're going to have special education teachers involved, perhaps occupational therapists. It's very, very expensive. So when you're talking about the expense to the total community, we're talking about a lot of money here coming out of our pockets going to a specific entity. I also have a problem with $1 million of public funds going to a private entity. I would love somebody to give me $1 million so that I can improve my farm and live in a more enhanced lifestyle. That's great, but I feel it's very inappropriate for public money to be given to enhance a private development. Anybody have any questions? Was I wrong on any of these points?
Don't know.
Okay, thank you.
In terms of the public money, that's not our issue. That's with the state. I mean, the state does a lot of public funding projects throughout the state we don't agree with.
They came to us.
That's up to them. I mean, it's their pot of money.
Excuse me,
It's up to
you're
the
the
state.
applicant. You're the applicant.
Oh, understood.
So if you
But it's
feel
the
that you're
process.
applying for inappropriate funds, that's your problem. You should not be applying for inappropriate funds.
We have to weigh it up against, do we want the property cleaned?
No,
So
you
We want
don't.
to leave lead there.
No, you don't, because you did not offer this years ago when other people were interested in the property.
They could have applied.
They don't apply.
Look,
We don't apply.
it's
comes through us.
inappropriate. I don't care.
The state comes
I
through
don't
us.
care who. It's inappropriate for public funds to be given to enhance a private person, a private entity. And if you agree with that, that's your prerogative. But if you feel that that is inappropriate, you should not be submitting this proposal. You know, you're giving $1 million to someone to enhance their property. I'd love you to give it to me.
We have to weigh that against, is the value in cleaning up the property? Is there value to that?
They
Getting rid of the lead.
they bought the property.
Understood.
They should be able to deal with the consequences of buying the property. When I bought my farm, I didn't go and ask somebody to put a new roof on the house. I just put new fencing in. I didn't come somewhere and ask that the city help me put new fencing in my property that I needed. Nobody's going to do that. It's inappropriate for public money to be given to a private entity to enhance their property.
Thank you. Kelly?
You're the applicant here. This document is what you created. Okay, whoever wrote it for you, it's yours, so that's what we're saying. You need to make sure it's accurate, because when you're saying things in there and they're not accurate, it kind of diminishes the document. This isn't a choice of, we need to spend the money to clean it up. No. That property as it was sold at a discounted rate knowing the pollution, okay? It can be used right now in its entirety without the splits as a single-family residential neighborhood or farm with no remediation, okay? They're living in it now. That's proof, okay? They're not evicted from the house. They're living there. So right now the property is usable and does not need to be cleaned up, okay? That owner needs to make sure the lead doesn't migrate off the property. There's simple things for that. They don't need $1 million to do that, okay? They don't need the money right now to live on the property. They need the money to create a compound of child care institutions. That's what this is about, plain and simple. And if you're worried about the tax money, you keep saying, well, they pay taxes now. They're not done with their plan now. They have another house. It's right there in the application. Another house plan on top of the house they already have and the one they already have. That's 3. It's going to go on the 4th property, okay? So if you're worried about that, they didn't pay tax in Detroit, right? then you can actually put that, you're the petitioner. You can put that as a requirement, that if they get a grant, they will pay property based on the highest and best use of that property and the size of the home and the square foot. Okay, that can be a condition of it. But if you don't put it in there, they're going to file for a tax exemption because they're going to say they work for the state providing services as a foster care institution, and they'll go to court and they won't pay tax, and we'll all pay for it. So that is something you can do.
What's that?
One thing I forgot to mention.
Yeah.
We talked about the roads. I live out there, and I'll tell you, it will affect me. But what has never been addressed, once the number of people get out there, there's going to be visitors. I've already seen traffic. And when you multiply with what this is going to be, those people are going to have visitors. So
Everybody out there is going to have visitors. We can't control visitors.
you can control what's out there. We've had the discussion.
We have done everything that we have to do.
The people have spoken.
By law.
We're taking, and you're going to, the bottom line, when this all gets over, you're going to increase our taxes for the people in this township.
We're allowing what's allowable by law. The splits, whatever. Yes, Barb.
This grant is encouraging.
I tell you, you're not going to be here much longer if you don't, please, I'm asking you, please, raise your hand. I have to have some kind of order here. Yes.
Okay, just trying to bring things together. I mean, again, remember I focused on community outcomes, number 1 and 2, and you will be showing us how this development will enhance the neighborhood and how it's going to affect my area, the community directly around it. I have dates. Every time a bus goes by, if I happen to be outdoors and I hear the noise, I will write down the date and who it is. So I have a date of July 26th. The Brightmoor Christian Church came out with 2 busloads of children, and they were out there all day. I have I can give you all the dates. There was a cleanup day, I presume, from Troy, a church in Troy, a busload of people and multiple cars. There were about 130, 140 people. I mean, that's noise when all those people are outdoors and doing things to the property.
We can't control that.
Pardon?
We can't control who goes up and down a public road.
No, I'm just saying, you have to answer about what this is going to do to the community. And so I'm trying to give you, to fill in some of the blanks to help you, to say that these busloads of people, even though Mr. Dunn said there was only once, I have documented dates of many dates and many busloads of people coming in and out, okay? And the noise is insufferable. So I just wanted to help you when you fill this out.
Yeah, did you raise your hand, Brian? Raise your hand. Okay, come on up. I have to be consistent.
Sorry. Well, Mr. Supervisor, I've glanced at this document. It just doesn't give enough information to have an accurate finding of what I'm looking for. Our lawyers are some of the leading experts in the state of Michigan on this topic. I would really appreciate it if you wouldn't, I don't know what your time implication is here.
We don't have a time.
But if you could hold off on making a decision this evening, if I could have an opportunity to speak with you outside of this meeting, maybe confer with my attorneys to see what, if any, implication is there. As a Rotarian, I'll tell you that lead is a serious issue, and clean drinking water is one of our serious, most foremost initiatives. And I will tell you that I support cleaning up any property that has lead on it, especially any property that has lead with children. So I'm not here speaking in opposition to this, but I am here making sure that we take every legal implication into mind. And if you could at least give me the courtesy of doing that, I would greatly appreciate that.
I would like to myself.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Because I am by far no expert on this. This is the
Well,
first
my
time. I've
lawyers
ever-
are experts on this.
Well, I
That's why I would
appreciate
love
your
to
effort.
have a dialogue with you.
That
That'd
would
be
be-
crazy.
that would be
It'd
great.
be crazy not to take you up on
I
that.
probably have the top lawyer in the state.
So would we like to have a motion to postpone this, or?
I move to postpone the issue of the brownfield grant until
More information.
more information has become available.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on. Okay. If anybody would like to leave, okay. Okay, we're moving on. Okay, on to the budget meeting calendar. Some exciting stuff here.
They want to come back.
What's that?
They want to come back.
What are we doing next?
I should have made that announcement before they left about our budget stuff.
Yes, they want to come back.
Yeah.
Okay,
A special meeting on the 20th.
let me get to that. Has everybody seen this schedule? Have any problems with it?
Oh, this is for 2020?
Yes, for our 2020 budget. Yes, Curtis.
I move to approve the fiscal year 2020 Charter Township of Oxford budget meeting calendar as presented.
Support.
Could you please close the door behind you, sir? Please? It'll take a couple minutes here to,
Who supported that?
I did.
Quiet.
I didn't.
okay, it's been moved and supported?
Yes.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So, we're gonna have a regular board meeting tonight with a budget workshop
Yep, to,
Special meeting at the
and a special meeting.
September 25th. So.
I just want to make sure it's on the calendar.
They cancel our trip to Paris.
did you raise your hand? Come on up.
I'm sorry, what time is the meeting on the 25th? It says set the time.
2 a.m.
Okay, I'll be here.
I would have to assume it's going to be 7 o'clock, 7 p.m.
6:30?
6:30? See, corrected.
Guess who's wrong?
You're 6.
There you go, I guess.
Oh, well,
25th, right?
Yes.
I won't be here, but that's all right.
The 25th?
Yeah.
Oops.
But you guys can
Okay.
fight it out.
Or without you.
Fight it out. Adoption of the 2020 STEP system. I checked with, as I do every year, with the county, and they suggested a 2.0 cost of living for,
Only two?
yep.
What do you think? I know I brought it up last year. What do you think about getting rid of step 1, making 2-1, 3-2, 4, blah, blah, all the way down, creating a new step 9 that increases the current step 9 up 2%? Only because those at 9
Have no place to
2
go.
to 3%.
Right.
And then I agree this should be done every year. I agree.
Yep.
But what's it been, 7, 8 years now?
Take the first one off.
I would,
So what you're going to do is have them making more than their bosses?
No, they won't be making that much.
no.
It's not that much.
4% is not more than their bosses. It's not even, doesn't even come close.
Well, it does when you give them 15% toward their, things like that, 15% toward their retirement. We're getting 10%. Start adding up all these things. I mean, there is a limit to what we can pay someone.
Understand that.
I mean, I wish we could pay everybody $100,000, but there is a limit for that job.
And Bill, and I agree with you
So
if we
restate-
did it every year. If we did that every year, say, okay, we get rid of step 1 every year and keep moving everything up, I agree wholeheartedly. But it's got to be at least 7 years now, maybe longer.
I don't know the last time you hired anybody at step 1.
That's what I agree with
Grade
you.
1,
It's
step.
whatever the board wants. If they want to do this and get
No, no,
4
I'm
people,
asking.
It'll be your part-time help.
Yeah, but
They come in at grade 1, step 1.
and I do want to kind of get ahead of the job market as
Where does it
people
end?
retiring and all that. I'll make a motion to approve the 2020 Charter Township of Oxford step using by using the multiplier 2.0%, increase the step system, effective with the first payroll in 2020 as presented, attached spreadsheet as appendix to the minutes, plus step 1 is now eliminated, step 2 becomes step 1 all the way down, and there's going to be a new step 9 with a wage increase of 2% over the current step 9.
Support.
Moved and supported? Yes.
I'm trying to think, because we approved the position, the new position
He'll start.
at step 4.
Whatever that is at the time.
Whatever it is now.
Now.
Grade 4, step 9. So now it'll be the new 9?
New step 9.
Okay.
What will that number
If
be?
they're hired in 2020.
That'd be next year.
Right.
If they're hired
Yes.
before then, they stay where they're at.
I hear two conversations. We made a motion tonight for a grant writer communicator to be at step
4-9,
4-9, grade 4.
on the 2019 step schedule.
correct.
We are not bringing him in at that individual in at the 2020.
No, that doesn't take effect
Clears
until
it up. I heard it.
until the first of the year.
both ways. Yep.
Unless you hire them till next year.
Just like everybody on the step system won't get this 2% until January 1.
Correct.
Yes.
Questions?
So you're eliminating step 1 here,
Correct.
and so if you put in a new step, will step 9 now be step 8?
Yes, and then there's going to be a new step 9. Everything moves over one.
So you're going to increase, for 2020, you're not only going to increase, you're basically giving them a new step plus a 2%.
Correct. It's not been adjusted in years.
Do you have,
This will be a one and done. I'm not doing it again next year.
I can tell you, I'm going to be voting no because I'd like to study this a little bit more.
The same
To
thing
see-
proposed last year.
Well, to see, we can do it internally.
Yeah.
Go over it, and I just don't want to make any rash decision on it.
you know,
Go
he
ahead.
was first.
I didn't see him, I saw you.
Oh,
Let
Well-
that blind guy speak.
I don't know who's at step 9 right now, and I don't know who's at step 1. To make that decision right now, where are we at?
We don't know.
We don't know. That's why I don't want, that's what I don't want to do
What are
it
you
right now.
asking?
Who's at step 9 and who's at step 1?
I believe all the deputies are at step
Deputies are
9.
9. The other ones are kind of mixed in the middle of all
In,
that.
in between there based on
3s and
their
4s.
seniority and so on, I believe.
So the deputy is at
Step
grade 4,
Step 9.
step 9. And that'll be for 2019
No,
and
2020.
2020.
Nope.
Step 8 would be 56,571.
I'd like to present something a little more comprehensive to the board.
I believe that's factual.
So there's a motion on the board right now. And yes, sorry.
What am I, dirt down here?
No, I'm writing it.
Okay. I just want to say that Patty and I, when we were working on these, levels last year, Joe and I spent time with Patty as well until I almost went blind looking at these numbers. And I know that Jack and
Patty.
Margie did too.
Last year.
Yeah, the previous year. And what Joe brought up here makes sense to me. It makes sense then, it
agree.
makes sense now to me. That's all I got to say.
It makes sense when I get all the numbers in front of me and analyze them
I know.
This is where the deputies are.
and sit and maybe do a spreadsheet with my old buddy here.
I'm sure that's what he wants.
This is where the deputies will end up with the 15, extra 15% that you give to their
Present it to the board.
401.
Right.
It's not more than what they're making now.
Yeah, because that would be the 2% increase. That would be the 15%.
The 15, they've already got some of this to begin with. This is 15 on the whole amount. Remember, they're already getting 15 on the first part. You gotta do the additional part.
Why don't you guys go over here in the corner and talk?
No, you don't. You do 15% on, no, this is not the
You do
addition.
have motion and second on the floor.
Okay,
Yeah, that's true.
let's finish this motion.
Read the motion again.
Who's got the motion? Deanna?
In a sense. To approve the 2020 step system by using the multiplier 2% to increase the step system effective with the first payroll in the fiscal year 2020 is presented and attached to the spreadsheet as an appendix to the minutes. Step 1 is eliminated, and then his point was step
the other
2
steps
becomes
go down.
1, and add at the end, another 9 for all the grades, with a 2% in between, 8 and 9.
Very well done, I'll support.
Can-
I think Mr. Curtis did.
Mr. Curtis supported, seconded.
Okay, you know how I feel. Let's do a roll call. So,
Trustee Nichols?
Yes.
Trustee Dare?
Yes.
Clerk Wright, no. Supervisor Dunn?
no.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Yes,
Trustee Payne?
I'm sorry, yes.
Trustee Payne and Trustee Curtis?
No.
4-3, we move on.
The motion carries.
Reimbursement fee for services. So we're talking about raising some fees for the inspectors.
No.
Something else.
Are we?
No.
No,
Okay, it's the wrong one.
What we charge the other funds.
Okay, Jack, you probably want to talk about this one?
Well, yeah. When did I get a call from the sewer fund that I'm gonna get charged $7,500 for postage to the general fund? And then I got an email at 5:01 with a piece of paper that it went to $8,500 because people felt that it wasn't enough, too much, or too little. None of this was ever discussed, none of it was ever brought to our attention, at least in the sewer committee. And I know 3 of the people here on the board have never even seen this until the added email tonight.
I saw it before.
You saw it?
I saw it in the packet.
How did we come to the point that the sewer fund is going to be hit for $8,500 for mailing?
No, it's not for mailing, it's for administrative. It's administrative costs.
Administrative cost. For what?
Joe?
They currently now pay $7,500 for everything that they do.
This who arbitrarily raised it to $8,500 in a pencil line.
Yep, I checked with the staff that actually does the work.
What
And I
staff?
The staff.
Accounts receivable, accounts payable.
Exactly. And I asked them, guys, are these figures in line? They haven't been reviewed in forever. I said, do you think they're in line? And I said, which ones should be changed, up, down? And these are what they.
Do we have a
suggested.
name?
So they suggested that.
No.
So-
Do we have a name?
What?
They.
They, who are they?
Well, some of the staff members, I don't know if they want to
Who
call
did,
out.
who did we talk to verify these numbers?
Well, the numbers, the current ones are those you currently have.
The question is, who do we talk to verify these numbers?
You mean the current numbers?
Joe,
Numbers, you,
Joe, Jack is upset that nobody checked with him. It's
we
this water,
watched
sewer
the
committee.
sewer fund to the dime. We scrutinize it to the dime. All of a sudden, it comes out in a packet for $7,500. Now they says that we should be charging $8,500 with no backup data other than they said it should be $8,500.
Was fire and EMS
You know, that's 10 feet
asked
of
about
pipe.
this?
Excuse me a minute, I don't think that we should be naming
No.
employee names.
No,
in
but
a
I want to
public
talk
meeting.
to them.
You
Well,
come in and talk to him, Jack.
Behind scenes, not in a public meeting.
Was fire and EMS aware of this?
Did you know that they went from $3,750 to $5,000?
Nobody's doing anything. These are just proposals.
No,
Act like
the
it's-
point is, Joe, before we do it on your own,
Thank you.
maybe you should check with
The people actually do the
the
work.
cable, the building department, just to,
But you would expect them to disagree. They're the ones paying it.
Maybe we could see a breakdown of how you come to these figures. That would be a lot, make it
doing
a
our
lot
fiduciary
more,
duty
a lot
here.
easier to swallow.
Yeah, because I did it years ago. Parks and Rec one, I think I did it 2010.
Okay, well, if you could present us
It
with,
doesn't bother me either way.
okay.
I'm just trying to make sure general fund
is there
supplementing.
a
other-
motion to delay or to postpone this?
Let's table this. Yeah, I move to table this discussion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
You lose, Joe.
That's pretty simple. Yes.
Let's go on to the building department fee rates.
That's $1,000.
10.
Any questions on the,
You're probably right.
will there be a motion? Yes.
That's a one-time
I
shit.
move to set the electrical, mechanical, building inspector's pay at $40 per inspection and the building inspector $45 per inspection effective January 1, 2020.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any questions? Let's do a roll call.
Clerk Wright? Yes. Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Payne?
Abstain.
She can't, only with
I
our
can't vote
permission.
on this.
Yeah, but only with our permission you can abstain.
Oh, okay, what do I do?
You know what?
Board
You just say present.
Can't do that either.
Oh.
Can't.
You vote no.
You gotta either vote yes or no, unless the township board gives you permission to abstain.
Vote no.
No.
That's fine.
Treasurer Ferrari?
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn?
Yes.
Trustee Dur?
Yes.
And Trustee Nichols?
No.
Okay, it passes. Just for the board's information, I went to the clerk's office and treasurer's office and had the building department assistant, all of her wages are now going to come out of the building fund, the building department fund. That would include her full-time, all her wages, her benefits, her insurance. It was at 60/40. But we decided to move it all over, or I decided to move it.
Which employee is that?
I'd have done that about
That's for Lori Lowe.
Yeah.
Because she does 99% of her stuff is
Right.
building department.
Yeah.
Deanna and I do basically the zoning.
Used to be 50/50. I convinced Bill to do 60/40, then he went over to the right
No,
side.
it should be 100.
It should be 100, yeah.
Well, I'm just letting you know, it is now 100.
Good.
So I
And
did
it's going to
good.
be reflected in the 2020 budget, is
No,
that
it's
correct?
going, yes, it will be, but it's
Okay.
going to take effect today.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move on to,
Purchase of electronic poll books.
purchase of electronic poll books for elections.
Board members, well, I put this in the packet because our existing computers are approaching or over 10 years old. We're receiving from the state when they went to the electronic poll book system. And what I'm looking to do is get approval for a new purchase of those. And one of the reasons why I would like to get them now versus waiting for the request is I've got an election in November, followed by 3 more in 2020. So the original quote you see in the packet was $55.79. I submitted a revised quote of $4,760 to ask for your approval to get these purchased and ready for the November election.
Would there be a motion?
So Chris, not the 5579?
No, it's this amount here.
4760.
$4,700.
I move to approve the purchase of 7 HP 250 G7 15.6-inch notebook computers in the amount of $4,760 from IT Right. This $4,760 to be expensed to the Elections Fund, account number 101-190-977.000, equipment acquisitions.
Okay, it's been moved
I'll second the motion.
and seconded. We're spending money, so roll call.
Trustee Nichols.
Yes.
Trustee Curtis.
Yes.
Trustee Payne.
Yes.
Trustee Dur.
Yes.
Supervisor Dunn.
Yes.
Treasurer Ferrari.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Thank you, Board.
I move to approve the canvass of votes for the August 6, 2019 special election for the Charter Township of Oxford as presented, include them as attachment to the minutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to the sanitary sewer agreement with the village. This was okayed by the village, I believe, a couple of months ago.
Yes.
So
No fees to us or anything.
no fees. They were very good neighbors.
I
I
move to
think-
approve the agreement between the Village of Oxford and the Charter Township of Oxford for permission to extend a township sanitary sewer line, the M24 right-of-way. Authorize Supervisor William Dunn to sign the agreement.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And I'd like to thank the village for allowing us to put a sewer right down the middle of their road between all the buildings. Moving on to stormwater education for M24 stormwater permit agreement with the Clinton River Watershed Council.
I move to approve the agreement for services for stormwater education for MS4, stormwater permit between the Charter Township of Oxford, Clinton River Watershed Council for the period beginning October 1, 2019, starting to September 30, 2024, and authorize Supervisor William Dunn to sign the agreement on behalf of the Charter Township of Oxford. All fees associated with this agreement shall be expensed to unallocated account 101-299-824.004, stormwater management.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now onto the fun stuff. Budget workshop. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right to the general fund. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask questions like, anybody have questions on the fund, or excuse me, the money coming in? And then we'll go on and we're going to do it by category.
Revenues and expenses.
Yeah, the revenue and expenses. Is there any questions on the general fund revenue portion? Okay, let's move on to, I wish I could make this bigger. Where's that on here? Make it larger. See, I don't see it here.
Pull it up right there.
Here? But that's on his computer. I'm trying to get it on my computer.
56.4%? No, that's mine. That's my computer.
That's his computer. I'm trying to get it on mine so I can go through it.
I thought you were getting bigger so we could read it too.
No, we want to keep you in the dark.
You don't get to know.
You know this off the top of your head.
Okay, I'll just have to get in real close here. Control plus?
What are you, an engineer?
Deanna, for general fund
Where's the plus?
expenses, you'll take care of the line items for the new wages?
They're already in there.
You'll change all that?
For the new wages?
For 2020,
that's
remember we
so
adopted
much
the new
better.
wage scale?
Oh,
You'll hide it in there somewhere.
I think it's necessary.
Oh, yeah, one of them sewer
Before we hit it
places.
before we hit the end of the month?
I can.
Okay, thank you. Is that, people's all changed now with the new scale?
Okay, let's move back to, let's move to the general fund. We're going to, questions on the township board. Any problems there?
Yeah.
Move down to supervisor, anything in the supervisor's category? How about elections? Comments? Accounting services, that's pretty standard. The assessor?
Are they going up to 2%? Oh, yeah, I see it. Yep.
Just a
Yeah.
question on that. What we approved tonight, will that go in 2020? Or will that go in 2019? To $12,000?
It's whenever they started.
What? Oh, that'll be only as expense, it'll be 19.
19.
Okay, everybody done with the assessor? Clerk's department, any
Legal fees.
legal fees? They are what they are. Clerk. Border review. Treasurer. Township building. Cemetery. Unallocated. Does anybody have any questions on any of these categories in the general fund?
I'm not keeping up with the
Highway road maintenance, that's an exciting one. Streetlights, social services, planning commission, Board of Appeals, contributions, postage, MASC, medical insurance, life insurance, insurance bonds, pension plan employer.
Oh, back on the medical insurance?
There's no do-overs.
All right.
Okay, come on back.
Uh-huh.
What is it?
I have a meeting with the insurance rep on Monday, and I did get emailed the quote today that our insurance, if we keep the same policies, going up 8.68%. The fire will be increasing 7.39. Retirees, two different plans, one's going up 3.36%, and the other one's going down 2%. So if you need to adjust that number in the medical insurance, it'll be about 9%, so I'll forward that over.
Okay, life insurance, insurance bonds, pension plan employer. That's it, folks. No questions?
No, now Margie's up with her MERS.
Yeah, well, it's not I said at the beginning, it's not part of the 2020, I'm not looking for the 2020 budget. I'm looking for a payment this year, in this fiscal year that we're currently in, 2019. So, let's, well, we don't have to make a motion on this, do we? We're not approving the budget.
We're not approving the budget.
Okay, that we're just going over it.
This
Okay.
is for the next meeting.
Okay,
It should be just a formality.
right. So I am going to move to, rather than pay 200,000, I'd like to
We do that?
pay 500,000 to MERS from the general fund balance.
Whoa. Boy, that trip did wonders for you.
We have it, you know?
Well,
That's a little aggressive.
Yes, it is.
that made my toes curl.
Well, that's good.
I want to at least wait till see where our 2019 budget amendments come in at.
You say that every year.
Well, he's consistent.
And every year, it doesn't matter. Whatever our budget amendments come in at, they're not going to be anywhere close to $1.3 million that we have in fund balance. You and I both know that.
Hold
Not
on,
even-
we're
not
not,
even
we're
gonna
gonna,
be
we're
500.
stopping talking right now, because there's a motion.
Okay.
And if you redo it to 300,000, I will support it.
I have no support on the 500?
I didn't hear any.
Support?
On the 500?
Sure.
Okay,
Well, there you go.
moved and supported, yes.
If you do that and you project out, if you project out your fund balances, even if that money goes in there at the end, you can see the breakdown, you're gonna have $1.2 million left at the end of the year.
How much?
1.2 million. If you contribute $500,000 right now, you'll have 1.2 million. We started the year with 1.3. So you're only going down in a sense, 100,000, as long as all the numbers come in according to the numbers you're seeing. So
The problem is that each year we put 200,000, and as Raina said, that's helpful, but, you know, we could be more aggressive, a little more aggressive. We pay more than 200,000, or the MERS fund pays more than 200,000 a year out to the current.
They pay 180, I believe.
Okay, 180, but then there's administrative fees. So,
Oh, really?
so I just, you know, so by paying that 200,000, we're giving 20,000 a year to the fund.
Throw something at me. Yes.
I believe the auditor even commented when she was giving her report that it's a good thing that we have our MERS account very strong. And I agree with Margie. I think we have the money there.
We're gonna find out once we do a little vote.
Okay.
Everybody know it's 500,000 to MERS?
Sweat.
Roll call.
take them out of the hat. Trustee Dur,
Yes.
Trustee Payne,
Yes.
Trustee Curtis,
Yes.
Trustee Nichols.
Yes.
Clerk Wright, yes. Treasurer Ferrari,
No.
and Supervisor Dunn.
God, I'm agreeing with Joe. No.
Okay,
So 500,000 goes out. Send me an
goes
invoice.
to MERS.
Don't go on any more vacations and cruises to Europe.
Okay, looks like I gotta move some money.
I gotta move some money real
Yes,
quick.
you better move some money.
Send me an invoice.
Let's move on to, what's the next, the road fund?
Give me a chance to catch my breath.
Okay, the road fund, guys, any questions on the revenues? Yes.
Oh, not revenues, expense.
No question on that, move on to the
Expense.
expenses.
Expense side, just a comment. In the comments that were listed, it shows a contribution to Coast Road. That should be Davison Lake Road? Is that
Yes,
correct? Okay.
yes.
Just want to make sure.
How do I make it smaller now, Jim?
Control minus.
That one's 50 bucks.
He might charge you now.
No, I am
Well,
gonna
not
get
the
charged.
consulting fee.
Way to go, consulting fees.
Well, we have to put that in the budget. Okay, everybody cool? Police contracting. Is there any questions on police contracting?
No.
Let's move on.
Just
You guys are so easy.
Just blueprints.
Cemetery maintenance fund? Questions?
I do have some.
Yes.
Is there any consideration of improving the road on the village cemetery?
Go ahead. She's the chairman. You're the chairman of the cemetery.
Yeah.
Brian.
It's a tie vote.
It's a tie vote. There's only two of us.
What road, Jack?
The cemetery on the north side, the gravel road that goes up through there.
There's two gravels,
Yes,
the first entrance and the second one.
yes. Is there any thought to improving that?
I haven't put any early in, we put gravel down on the outside perimeter, but the center, we have not attacked it.
We've paved a cemetery in the northern part of the community.
Yes, we did.
This gravel washes out onto Burdick Street.
That's a village.
Yeah, but we're losing our gravel.
They don't have any money.
Right.
Well, what we can do is
No, it's just a thought.
What was that
because
about being good neighbors?
we can employ our engineer to look at it, and what we
Is
need
the money
those-
in the fund?
Yeah, we
That's
need
my
additional
question.
funds to make
Yes.
that happen. 'Cause we got 6,000 balance,
Yes.
and we used 200,000 plus or minus, but we did some great improvements over the years. And for anything, for us to do anything more major, we'll have to come back.
Please, I'm not, all I'm doing is asking, has there been any thought? If there is positive thoughts towards it, is the money here to do anything?
There was at one time because we did all the lineal footage.
Yeah, and,
I'm sure you've still got all those figures.
yes.
10 minutes ago, there was money there.
Well, $1.2 million is not enough to pave a cemetery road?
I hope so.
I hope we don't get four votes for that one.
Well, anyway, we had 6,000 to start with, and today, we had two flagpoles installed, one at Mount Pleasant and one at North Oxford Road,
What'd that cost?
$2,000.
$2,000.
1,000 apiece, and it'll have a solar light reflecting on the flag itself.
That's nice.
So we didn't have one, but we have those now. We're in the process of getting the sign redone at Mount Pleasant, so we'll look into it, and then
I was asked, and I just wondered if there was money to look into that, if that's somewhere we should consider.
We used to have money for it.
yeah, we've got a couple trees, we had a big limb that fell. We got to get that cleaned up as well. So we do have some maintenance issues going on, so you may see a request for funds in this fund.
I would say you could probably get an SAD, but I don't think the residents would sign up.
No, they won't. There's
At least they
a
won't.
lot of no's.
True.
Okay, let's move on to
Okay.
fire. I had questions for you, but they were just minor. Your fund balance looks great, so, and you can move money around, and I didn't really see any problem myself. And I'm sure Curtis probably had some.
Just a few, but that's just basic. So I won't bring those up because your budget will take care of itself during the year. But my one curiosity was, when you have a line called volunteers, and it shows volunteers are being paid $26,000.
When they were paid zero 2 years ago, or a year ago.
There wasn't.
Can I,
Come on up.
So they're paid volunteers.
oops. Recently, we've changed the structure of our paid-on-call community, and we now have department members that were formerly budgeted for in the paid-on-call budget, but now a portion of that has been taken out, and it's now categorized as volunteers, and they are paid as stipend.
So they're paid on
rather than-
calls.
It's a way to
Okay.
differentiate between those that are fully hourly paid members. and
Just a
those
better
that are
accounting way.
volunteering. Yes.
A better
So
accounting.
it's not added on any extra, it's just taken away from the actual paid-on-call line.
Then your firefighters are increased because you brought on more personnel, correct?
That's right, yes. Yeah.
Is that it, Curtis?
Nope, I got a question.
Yes.
Oh, let Curtis finish.
I'm finished. Go ahead.
Okay, and now I don't see it right off the top, but the capital fund, I noted, are you buying a new vehicle?
I'm sorry, the
The
capital
capital,
fund?
vehicle acquisition?
That was, let me just take a look.
Let's
There is no proposed budget for that this year.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking
was-
at the wrong year.
I'm sorry, for next year, 2020.
Yeah, I looked at the wrong thing. I'm sorry. It's my mistake.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Shall we move on to,
And can I just make a clarification as far
Yes,
as
you may.
the MERS payments go? The amounts that the benefits that are paid out each year, the actuarial report for last year it's over 300,000 that we're paying out in benefits.
Thank you.
Well,
you think? Hey,
Okay, we'll move on to the telecommunication fund.
I have a question.
Yes.
With the PEG fees that are up in the air, I don't know where that landed, but are we addressing any of that in this budget?
No.
Is it for us?
No, we get money from the cable provider.
Yeah.
We get 5%, which we give to the cable people.
And that's
That's where all that money comes from.
the only money they're gonna get. Now, once they lose the PEG fees,
Well, they never had the PEG fees.
okay,
What they were trying to do is with the new contract, add the other 2%, and it didn't go anywhere.
okay. I just wanna, I knew enough to get itchy feeling. You got a question down there,
Yes.
too, by the way.
Did I say it wrong?
5% is franchise fees that they're getting, and by the way, it doesn't look like that's gonna hold up too long either. So they're gonna get their lungs into that at some point. So it's looking rough for the TV
There's a
station.
lot of activity out there to eliminate all these franchise fees, and that's where the cable companies are becoming profitable on the backs of all the local little TVs.
That's right.
You mean that little tax they put on?
Yeah, now instead of raising their rates, they can get the 5%, the 2% PEG fees back, and they don't have to raise your rates. Ah.
They'll keep those funds.
They just did it. Building permit fund, any questions on that? The safety path fund,
We need money.
We asked for 500,000?
Second,
Sure.
No,
Hey.
let's not do that.
you guys are killing me.
there you go. Both toes are curled.
Yeah. Fire, I gotta keep moving down here.
Yeah, quickly.
Jeez. Telecommunicate, we're through with that one? Let's move on to building permit fund, any questions? I think we did that.
Building site fund.
Yes.
Could I just get back to communications again, just for a moment?
Sure.
I understand that there was a grant form sent to Terry Stiles for over $100 and some thousand, I believe. However, there was nothing filled out for it. It was an assumption made, which was a bad assumption, that Terry would do the grant. Well, we don't do grants from the TV station. Terry certainly has nothing in charge to do that.
Well, we have a grant writer.
Well, you
We're
do
about to-
here, but
we
the
could
information
certainly.
was sent there, and consequently, what happened is the grant never got filled out. So consequently, that time is gone, and there's no
Bingo.
possibility to get
That was the $22
that.
million that the state made available for Wi-Fi in rural agricultural areas.
Okay, Jack knows about it then.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because we didn't have a grant writer who's dedicated to that and catch that, it was never filled out. And by the way, the TV station also, is not responsible for doing the contracts too, so there's no way that Terry could have gotten involved in it. But there was no follow-up on it either. So it just kind of went to the way.
Is that a grant that will become available again in future years?
We'll find out.
It's hard to say. If the station can hold out.
Okay.
Is that me?
That might have been me again.
They're getting a little feedback, probably because of level.
Okay, let's do the safety path fund. We'll move on.
I want 500,000.
Let's.
Make a motion.
No, I mean, for real?
Yeah, for real, make a motion of some sort.
But first,
Common sense.
let's discuss, what are you going to use it for?
Get easements, actually do the
For
pathway.
where?
For instance, trying to get up and down Seymour Lake Road.
There are
Okay.
10 priority paths in the township that we have earmarked, but no money for.
Grants?
Go for grants.
Well.
I'd like to get the one constructed from right out here, Dunlap, over to Sanders. Then we got the easements, everything right in place. We just gotta get money to construct it.
But Joe's right.
Gets it closer to.
We're trying to get easements.
500,000.
Going down Seymour to the.
Do you have a dollar amount? Have you budgeted it out?
Be realistic,
Have
Joe.
you laid it out?
Realistic, what are you talking
Can you come to the board
Jim, what was that estimate to do that path? I know he gave us an estimate on that. Was it $2?
$2?
Or
Oh,
200?
man.
200, yes,
The bridge
a deal.
alone, getting over the creek,
I thought it was around
foundations
200.
and everything, that's like $100,000 itself.
It was more, I thought it was like 200 total.
It was more than that, so. I don't.
2,000-foot boardwalk.
3?
Okay, can I suggest that you bring it back to the board with numbers
Sure.
laid out for
Next meeting, I'll
supporting
have
it?
it. Don't you worry
Okay.
about that.
It's understood that he's gonna come back.
Oh,
Support.
I agree, but we need safety paths. I just, want to know what we're putting our money out there for.
Don't you worry. I'll have that
Not
to
worried.
September 25th.
The Building and Site Fund, any questions on that?
Yes.
Yes.
In the fund balance, it shows that our balance was 55,407 at the end of 18, and we're moving to 55,450, which is more than the balance shows.
Say that again, Curtis?
Let me pull, see right here on the screen where it says 55,450?
Yeah,
Let me scroll over there.
I see it.
See your fund balance, 55,407? You're pulling in 55,450, which is more than your fund balance by $43.
Here.
So unless you're actually gonna increase it by the interest income,
Is that
Go
just a
with the
typo, maybe?
I don't know.
Deanna?
This is the last thing in my data. Look at this today.
Did you wake up over there?
I only have one shoe on, so now I'm like,
Oh, be you.
Take the other one off.
all right, what did you say, the 55?
55,450.
Your note number doesn't match your fund balance in the 2020
No,
proposal.
because that's December 1st of 2018, and then you're gonna take interest, and we could go up.
But you're gonna need interest to get to this number.
29, yeah,
So you need $42.
right. And it's 29 right now, so.
It's 30.
As we think about dissolving building and sites, kind of outlived its usefulness and fold it back into general. We're down to 55,000 now, we're just keeping it around for interest. Let's
Well,
fold
You
it back into
probably
general.
want it for the
Safety path.
safety path, don't you?
Yeah, that
Well,
could be wrong. That's
no,
part of where it come from. We don't need it for anything.
the thing is this is where we've lent money to the fire department, or given money to the fire department and Parks and Rec, is it not?
Building
No.
permit,
We've given it from building permit?
we've loaned it.
Oh, okay,
This
so,
year's kind of just outlived its usefulness. This building
but
should
in
go.
2017, we had 700,000 in there?
I think we did all the expansion down for the police and all that other stuff. We've
Right.
kind of done everything we're going to do with it, just kind of hanging around.
Well,
Sprinklers
We look at the expenses.
we're gonna want sprinklers.
downstairs.
And are we going to eventually, oh, no, I'm not even gonna bring it up. We have a senior center, that's right. Okay, well,
I would leave it there because something will come up.
Building expenses, what about the sprinkler that's not working?
That'll all come out of general.
What about, it comes all out of general?
It's not really used that much.
Well, yeah, it comes out of the unallocated.
What about the basement downstairs? Could you keep it there and finish the basement downstairs? I don't know, I'm just throwing that out.
I'd rather have an occupant for the basement or
I'd rather have a shooting range
oh, no,
a,
that would work.
Don't.
then you're gonna have contamination.
I'd rather see it in the general
Run it out.
fund. That's where I like to see it.
But, yeah, in order to build out and stuff, we could have that money there.
the problem is when you build out something like that, you want to have a plan because you're gonna want to know
I understand, you also want the money.
You wanna build it out for
a reason,
a reason.
for a design
I don't
purpose
think we
where you
should
know
just
where
really-
the drains are and
Right, I don't either.
everything.
But I think you ought to keep the money earmarked.
Until such time that we need this money, I think that it should stay
Would you
there.
like to add something to this?
Perhaps. I have no idea what that line item is, but based on what I'm hearing here, the library might be adding on to the library in the near future. With that being said, would you need that line item for that? Just saying.
We'll make a note of that.
Thanks,
Brian.
Joe.
We gave everybody else money, right?
Just saying.
You don't get unless you ask, right?
That's right.
Okay, any other questions on building and site?
We could make a better storage area downstairs for the library books, for their book sale.
Well, they're putting them on gravel.
Yeah.
Yes, if you keep that line item there and maybe bump it up a little bit, I'll guarantee the books downstairs will leave this building.
and then we'll give you your rent.
Right.
Okay,
That's it.
that was it.
Yep.
Items removed, done. Public comment. A do-over.
Two things. One, I just want to thank you for agreeing to postpone that issue earlier this evening, and I'm looking forward to working with you on getting some definite answers on that. The other element is, if you bear with me for just a minute, because I don't remember everything. In a different capacity, I'm here on behalf of Northeast Oakland Historical Society Museum this evening, just to share with you that we will be having our third annual cemetery tour on October 6th. It's a Sunday, from 1 to 4. When tickets go on sale, and they'll be going on sale shortly, they'll be available at the public library.
I'm sorry, Brian, can you tell me again, what Sunday, going back to the library thing, that you're going to start have the music?
Sundays.
When the first concert's coming
Yeah,
up?
you said September 20...
September 22nd
Okay,
at 2
thank you.
o'clock.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Public comment. Any more? Board of Trustee comments, starting with Elgin.
Really, thank you. I guess I agree with Brian. I thought the agricultural people had a great argument, provide a lot of input. Originally, I really wasn't geared to the House of Providence, but they're doing a great job out there with the kids from what I can see now, and I have checked them out. However, it seems like this whole country is kind of messed up because it seems like the people in the village want to have chickens, and the people out in the agricultural area want to make it more of a residential area. So that being said, it'll be interesting to see what the facts are with this grant. I'm kind of concerned with the tax situation as well. It kind of appears to me as kind of a tax abatement situation where the businesses end up losing that are there for a number of years when you bring somebody else in that uses the residential tax money, for their own purpose. So that's all I have to say.
Patty?
I worked the no-haz last Saturday, and we had 527 cars that went through. And there was 34 people from Oxford that attended, and that was at the Highland Waterford LCC.
It's quite a trip over there.
Yeah, it is.
Curtis, I know you have something.
I have two items that come to mind here. Number one, ask the board to consider maybe placing a sign on Dunlap Road up where Google takes you to nowhere, that we could put a sign to lead people that are lost to get to the township office.
It's a good idea.
If you Google 300 Dunlap, it takes you up on the dirt part of American Agri Levy.
It says
where
you're
the
here.
Old entrance was
You're
at.
here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
And, we had a lady, and it just triggered my mind today because we had a lady come in to upgrade the qualified voter file for us, and she spent, I think, half an hour trying to find us because she was from Detroit area or something. And
I think we should just do that administratively.
Well,
Take care of it.
We'll take care of it.
just that.
This is a building and site fund.
It's fine.
Hers.
Get some activity.
You got anything else?
I do. I'm the grants manager. I think it'll be great for the township, but I do have some items I'd like to discuss with somebody going forward on that. So just so we make it a strong position and make it so it's the best for Oxford.
Sure. Two of them can meet with you.
Yeah.
Two
of us can.
Yeah, 2 to 3 of the panel.
Sure.
So, but it won't be you. 'Cause you'll be gone.
I'll be gone.
But one more thing. Don't leave. You have a couple of agreements to sign before you leave.
Okay.
The sewer agreement and the stormwater,
That's right, because I'm leaving tomorrow morning.
unless you authorize your stamp.
I can authorize my stamp.
Deputy can sign them.
Isn't that right, deputy?
Yeah.
Yep.
He wants to go home.
That's it. The Oxford Township had a piece of property up, speaking of Dunlop and M24. It was quite a large piece that we have no use for. If the board remembers, there used to be parked cars up there, and I had to go up and put signage and all this. I've been working with the road commission to take over that piece of property.
Where is that?
It's right at the end of,
Dunlap.
you know where Brad Dewey's subdivision to the north part, where there's a place there for children?
Yeah.
Where that big,
Yeah,
we have no use for it.
right.
The county apparently does. So I do have a deed, a quitclaim deed, and I will be, if nobody objects, signing it over to the road commission.
That should probably be an agenda item just for, so it's on the record.
Yeah.
Because it is township property.
That would be fine.
Yeah.
But we've been trying to get,
I
we've been
think
trying to
you
get
have-
rid of it.
Don't you have to
You can't
get
just-
approval to
Yeah, I think
get
you
rid of
do.
township
Put it
property?
on the next township board agenda.
As I said, Bill's getting rid of this hall. He found a good buyer for it.
I did. Chuck Snyder.
Cash.
And Bill sold for $200,000. We're out of here tomorrow.
No do-overs. You done?
Done. Go.
I agree with the grant writer, but I think what we should have with the grant writer position, I think it should be allocated its time to whatever fund he or she's working on. But general fund's paying for everybody. The tough thing about the whole grant writer is how's it gonna work? Like fire, I was talking to Joanne today, they're already doing their own thing. So it's like, I mean, how's this person gonna integrate all that? So that's, the devil's gonna be in the details.
Well,
Because,
I
I mean,
think
will
we'll
they
figure
wanna
it
give
out.
that up? I have no idea.
It'll all work out.
Parks and Rec.
You know what, they can, we work with Park and Rec. We could, if he finds, if they, whoever it is, I say he, whoever does it, finds these grants, he can notify the library, he can notify Park and Rec, he can notify the fire department, and if they want to do it on their own, fine. We're here to work with all these people.
Okay, guys, devil in that'll be the details.
Sure.
It works. Also like to pay my respects to those that lost their lives on 9/11/2001.
18 years ago. Margie, how was your trip?
It was wonderful. Everybody should go to England, Scotland, Iceland, and Norway, and Netherlands. I would just like the board to start thinking about, I understand we put off the sign for the entryway to Oxford because of the roads being changed, but, even coming in from the sides, from the east and the west, I'm sorry, and coming in from the north, it should say Oxford Township. People should know when they arrive in Oxford. And I would like us to start considering doing some signage for our township.
I didn't say nothing to her.
No, you didn't.
But you look so guilty.
I didn't even talk about it. I've talked about it with, a few people have said something to me, but no, yeah.
Okay, Jack, you got anything?
Yeah. First off, Joe, my adamant about the budget and what it increases. We have Curtis Wright who does spreadsheets for us, and I said, we know where every dime goes. $1,000 to the water and sewer is only 10 feet of pipe. But 12 years ago, somebody spent money and got chastised over it. I don't do that. We watch every dime. And today I was surprised to see that we were up in 8,000, up to another 1,000 over some fees and things. So we're watching our money very frugally. And believe me, I've worked with two of the toughest people on that committee when it comes to a dime. So I'm, $1,000 to me is like, oh my God, that's a lot of money. So, to that, East Drainer improvements, if anybody's gone down there where we put the water main in and the new subdivision is going, and through the works of some of the members here, got East Drainer Road vision and ditching improvements, and they're not done. They're going all the way from M24 to Bar Road. They're taking banks down, they're putting ditches in, they're reculverting driveways, they're making the road so that it will be passable at all times of the year. We're going to be coming to this board telling you a cost estimate on a sewer line through the center of town at the next meeting, and the water main through the M24 reconstruction, so be prepared. 500,000 isn't much. Other than that, I still want to hammer on social media interaction with Township. It was brought to our attention that several times we speak on social media and we are assumed to be the experts. If Jack Curtis says this is it, or if Curtis Wright says this is it, that's it. And then we become liable for that answer. And MTA, our own attorney, many people have said we need a social media policy because by name, people assume us to be the experts and the validation point in our township.
Is that it, Jack?
Yes.
I have a do-over.
Nope.
I came to the board looking for money for gravel, and from the American Aggregate or Levy gave me a price of $12.25 per ton, and we had to pay another $3.50 for the trucking. The Levy Corporation has donated the trucking, so it's a savings of $20,000 to $25,000 to haul this material to East Drainer and West Davison Lake Road.
Yes.
So I'd like to thank them.
They're very good corporate citizens.
They are lovely.
They are making that specifically for us.
And they're not going to be making it anymore.
No.
Oh, wow.
Can I comment on the comment?
Yes.
Just to Trustee Curtis, my impression is that this grant writer will take over the control on those communications for the social media. Is that the thought of the board?
I would hope so. We can speak.
And then another thing,
One voice.
I'll steal a little bit of Treasurer Ferrari's responsibility, but from our SISMA program we just joined, if anybody has any areas of phragmites or invasive species, you can email me and I'll get those to the county so they can take a look at it. They're looking at the right-of-ways right now for eradicating.
Some on Drainer.
There's some on Lakeville right by your road on the curve. And so if you have any.
There's a whole bunch on Oakwood Road.
Let me know and I'll relay that and they'll be able to see if they'll help us out.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Support. Moved and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Too bad.